I guess you can see my screen. Uh,
Yes.
yeah. So just to start with, uh, we had gone with what, like till now, this all these modules, how to create a module, how we can scan it, and how we can create basic test cases, even different sort of web elements we have gone through, wherein we can how to enter some text to a text box field, a radio button, checkbox, and the other all sort of elements. Apart from that, even this table thing, we have seen it, how we can enter the data in the table thing, how we can manipulate the data in sort of this table thing, and also the libraries. If I can see it, the libraries thing we had gone through, and yeah, we have created the basic structure of our test case, wherein yeah, this helps in kind of maintenance, easier understanding of our framework, whatever we are designing. So yeah, folder creation throughout these things, and check in, check out. We have also gone through those parts. Even the reports generation, so executing it from execution list and then giving the test configuration parameters. Even the configuration parameters, we are setting it at one common place, and that we are using it throughout our test case, or even in execution list. If we want, we can just drag and drop those same things. So that is much about it. And one thing, yes, Aruna, the doubt that you had regarding a library. So uh, what I will do is, let's say I will take one login credential. So I'll just create another library, which is what test library, let's say, and I'll paste a step. So we have these things. And now assume our action modes for one of this would be like buffer, and another one, let's say, verify. If we have this sort of action modes, and then yes, anything other than that. So in here, if we have business parameter now, and the business parameter for email ID and password, if we have created, what we can do is to create, click this, drag and drop onto our business parameter. So drag and drop onto the business parameter, and then action mode, whatever we had set for this, is what it Tosca automatically sets it. So here we have created business parameter for email ID and password. And now when we take this test case, so when we take this test case, here if you see even that, okay, action mode, you see this is empty. For now, if I give email ID as abc at email.com, as soon as I leave this, so action mode is buffer, because we are entering this, giving, going into the library, the step, and there we are again buffering this value. It is that. And now let's say we password thing, I gave some password, and that password I'm verifying if this password field is there here in this place, the password is there. So it's just an example. It's not the exact scenario wherein yes it fits, but I'm just trying to explain the action modes also. If you just set it and then you create business parameter based on that, it creates, it's not only with input you can create, we can create with other action modes as well. And then the other doubt that Aruna you had was you don't want to show the password to the user, so that's where you wanted to change the data type to password. If you change it, yes, here it goes over there, but in the library, uh, that action mode won't be shown. Uh, but then this password would be shown here. So if you wanted to hide the password from the user or someone who's seeing, what you can do is you need to basically create a test configuration parameter, either in the test case itself, whichever test case you are calling that step. So in here, you can just create a test step, configuration parameter, or here itself, yes, you can create a password as the configuration parameter and give the password, whatever your password is. 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say my password is this, and I don't want to show this to the user. To the data type, you just set it to password, and then yeah. Now this configuration, whenever you would use, let's say I would use this configuration into my test case, and now in here I want that password, right? So here what I will do is, since that is configuration parameter, I would use CP of suggestions. Sometimes it won't show in the business parameter, so you can just directly write uh, the syntax. So CP of password. So I'll come here, I'll write it CP of password and then leave it. That's it. So here, yes, the user is not able to see the password, but this value would be coming from the so this value would be coming from your test configuration parameter, which is this password field, and this is hidden. So no one knows what password it is. Now, if someone changes it to from password to string, this would be empty. So they have to again enter the password. Is it clear? I don't know.
Yes, Pradeep. So here we need to, okay, give all the details in the,
Configuration parameter.
so it directly takes from there.
Correct. So that we have to link it. How are we linking? Dragging and dropping that onto our test case, and then we are using that parameter. I
And
hope
in
this is clear.
other tools, on execution part, we use it to give the values, right? So do we have like that in this?
While execution as well, yes. If you see, so let's say we wanted to execute this test cases, right? So this enhanced test cases, let's say we want to execute. So we can drag and drop that to a new execution list or to an existing one. And then here, if you would see, uh, what we can do is to this configuration parameter, again, yes, whatever we want to set. So just drag and drop that onto this here. And then for this specific execution list, for this execution, yes, you can change whatever values you want. So you want this to be executed on Chrome, Edge, Firefox, or change the password, user ID, or the directory, or the wait time, anything you can change it. It won't reflect in the main thing. It only changes in this execution list. And again, one more execution list with same thing you can create. There you can give different values for your configuration parameter. So you say environment, if we set URL, if we set, so so this execution list, this one I want to execute it in QA environment. The other execution list, whatever I would create, that I can, so this another execution list, I can create this in not QA, but another environment. So here I can change, instead of QA, it is something else, dev, and then this value. So it keeps on, so different execution list based on the test configurations that whatever we have set, it executes on that values. Is it clear? So while execution, we are just trying to change the values. That's it, right?
Yeah, yeah, Pradeep.
Yeah. Any other doubts, Aruna?
No, no, for now.
Cool. How about you, Nawaz? Anything you want to ask?
No, Pradeep. I just gone to the, yesterday I was not there, right? So I've gone to
Right.
that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, fine, good. Then let's continue on to the next one. So we have this values. So what I am looking for is, so let's say there is some registration page. We already know we had demo web shop, this thing, right? So in here we have something called register, and registration when you do, so you kind of this is your again assignment, I would say. So wherein you just have to uh, add this functionality, check this registration functionality by giving entering all these details, first name, last name, email, password, and all. Click on register. So it would show. So invalid detail if you give, it should throw some error message. That thing you can see, and then something like if you can just verify this things, this part is fine. And if you the other thing would be like once you give the proper correct registration details and then hit register, registration is successful, it shows that one. And the other one is again, if you just enter with the same details, if you click on register, what can be your expected thing? What is that you are expecting? Can you just tell me?
You are already registered करके एक
Correct.
English word है.
That thing. So that is another negative test case. Yes, you can even check that. And coming to the positive scenario in this case, so every time when you execute your script, what you are doing, you would have to change all those details to the unique one, right? First name, last name, or even if it's there, that's fine. But the whatever the unique identifier, like kind of email ID should be unique for every execution. Then only it is kind of, it would be registering on this application, right? So email ID, some unique identifier has to be there. So every execution. So how we can do one thing, manually just before you execute it, you have to change the value of your email ID, registering email ID. That would be one thing. Or the second thing would be, so let me just copy. This is just an example. I'm explaining it here. Give dynamic data or random data, something. So here, let's say this is our email ID, only one field for now. But even if it is first name, or every time if you just want to give last name, different values. So I don't want to give this email for now, and email, first name, last name. First name, last name, email is what we are giving. So let's say first name, last name, right? And even the age, let's say gender, we don't have that, but even age, if we want age or some random number, if it is there. So that sort of data, if we want, how we can do that? So every time if you need some unique or random data whenever you are executing your script, what you have to do is Tosca provides some random functionalities in here. So one is if you open just curly braces, you would have something called random regex and random text. For now, we'll just look into this random text. And now if you see random text, and then the example is random text of in brackets, we need to give length of string, no. So whatever the number of characters you want to generate a random data. For example, if you give 7 here, you see 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 7 characters of random data would be given to you every time. So I'll just click on this random text and then square bracket and then the number, like I'll say 5, and then close square bracket and leave this. As soon as I leave this, it should turn into some sort of coloring, wherein with this thing we can understand, okay, whatever we have written the syntax is correct. Let's say if we just miss some square bracket and if we leave it, you see it is not changing to any different color, which means the syntax you have written is wrong. So you just write the proper syntax, and when it turns to this thing, and now if you just execute this or translate value for this random thing, see it is generating 5 characters with some random 7D213. Next time again, if you just translate it, it gives some other value, OJI56. So same way, if you just keep on executing it, it gives some random text of 5 characters. Same way for the last name, yes, you can do. And then also, if you see another thing, if I just want to show you, which is random regex. Now, random regex expression, if you just see, we have something called this thing. Okay, I'll just write that syntax and I'll show you. So uh, the syntaxes, yes, you have to kind of by heart it. Just see, I'll also provide the documentation on this Tosca thing, and then yes, you can even kind of refer those documentation. So random regex. Even sometimes I just forget, so I just kind of try to recollect it this way because it's hard to remember everything, right? So the syntax is random regex and then square bracket, open and close, and then close this opened bracket. So I have a habit of doing this way. So whenever I open a bracket, I tend to close it, and then random regex of opening square bracket and closing it. So those things. And then inside this bracket, yes, we have to write the syntax. So first thing is in double quotes, we have to, and there is something called caret symbol, which means starting with, and then we give some square brackets. Let's say I want capital A to Z with what I would say 4 characters. Now, if you say the syntax is correct, and now if you just translate the value, what it gives me all capital letters, that too only alphabets, because I have specified A to Z, which is alphabet. So let's say if you don't want alphabets, you want numeric, just change it to 0 to 9 or any specific like 0 to 4. So only 0 to 4 related, using those 0 to 4 related characters numbers, it just gives you 4 numbers. So here if you see 7159, so which is like the individual numbers, if you see, these are in between 0 to 9. So if your specific requirement, sometimes it would be like, okay, generate some random number and wherein with 8 characters, 8 letter, and then the numbers should be what? Consisting only from 1 to 5. So 1 to 5, 8 characters, right? So here what you would do, you would say 1 to 5, and then I want 8 characters. So I will say 8. And then if I just translate this value, yes, it would give me numbers which are in between 1 to 5, and that to 8 characters. Is it clear?
The case sensitive, Pradeep?
Case
Tosca supports
sensitive.
case sensitive. Okay.
First one, which one you are talking about? Case sensitive about this syntax, you mean?
Yes, yes. Before that, you mentioned A to Z capital letters, so it throws the same, right?
A to Z. So here we need to specify whether you want capital or small, or combination of capital and small, or combination of characters as well as numbers. So that way we can specify. So here I'm just saying capital A to Z. So it just gives me capital A to Z. And let's say I want only one capital A to Z. So I would not specify any number. So only thing A to Z. So every time it would just give me one character with different things. So between A to Z. So if I translate, now I got X, now it is C. Every time I would get a different one. So let's say you want a name which is starting with capital letter, but after that all I want is small letters, with which is small A to Z. And in this small A to Z, I want 6 characters. Now, if you see, this is something kind of name. F letter is capital because of this. And then after that, small letters with 6. So if you say the small letters are with 6. And after, apart from this, also, if you just want uh, some numbers. So plus, I would say, I also want uh, 0 to 5 characters. Using these characters, I want 3 digits. If I just translate this one now, you would say this value.
Now add a capital letter, Pradeep.
Where do you want to add after this?
Yes.
Okay. So there, in that case, what you have to do is, once you have written the syntax, here, after that, add something, because after this 3, if you just don't specify plus, and then if you just try to add uh, A to Z with some characters, I want 2. So this, I'm not sure if this would work, or we need a plus symbol in that. No, so plus is not mandatory. Okay, or for the number, don't know that syntax it came. Yeah. So here, if you see, after this, I've added this one, and this is also working. So I've got this capital thing.
When are you exactly using plus?
Plus is so in the syntax it said that way. So I you see here in the syntax it was specifying this thing, and then dollar symbol is at the end of. So if you just read this thing, you would be able to understand what it is doing as an example. And this thing character denotes end of the line, and this caret character denotes the beginning of the line. So it's just some syntax what is being given from those people. So yeah, we can't really question on
Maybe
that.
they use plus before adding the numbers.
Might be, yes, anything. So so random regex is that, and then so if you would see now, if I execute it, if you see our data, first name is set to some random thing. First name, if you see now here, we are getting some random text with letters as well. Do you really think name would consist of a letter? No, right? So in that case, you shouldn't be using random text. You should be using regular expressions with this sort of thing. So you just want A to Z
But
character,
here in the last name also it is showing 500, right, Pradeep?
500.
That is also a
Uh,
number, right?
because we have specified here, we said it here,
Huh.
0 to
I'm
this
saying in generic
number.
scenario, we don't have numbers in last name also, right?
Right, we would not have. And then here, I'm just showing this syntax. Here, what you have to do is you just have to remove all these things. Uh, Control X, and then yes, that's it. So you just have to execute this. And now if you say the last name, it would not give you numbers. So your requirement would be like this thing. And first thing, if your application is allowing this numbers as well, you need to even test that negative scenario, right? See, if it is allowing, is it, then you can go back, check with the business people. Do you really need numbers in your this thing, or to the developers? Then question that, and then if they are fine, yes, who would enter numbers in the name? But since it is allowing, application shouldn't be. Do you want to change some sort of rules in this? If they want, yes, they would. Else, you can just keep it as it is. What to do? So here, if you see the last name, it's we are not getting any numbers because we have not generating it. So in here, first name as well, yes, you can do it according to this. I'm just showing you an example. Okay. Uh, Next thing is this email ID. You can generate again using this same random text or random regex. Or another thing is what I would do is I would generate email ID based on whatever first name I get, first name dot last name. I can even say that. Or else, as I was saying, so if you see random, either we have random regex or random text. So if you pick something and then only 3 characters, random this at the rate Gmail, or even this one, if you just want any random specific thing you can give, I'll say gmail.com. So every time what it would do is it would generate first three characters as random. The other one I've kept it static. So it is giving me this static value. So om7 at gmail.com. If you just enter this, this is valid email ID still, right? So same way, if you translate again, u68 at gmail.com. So we kind of get unique thing every time. So this we can do it this way, or instead of this, I can even say buffer of whatever is being stored in the first name, and I can say dot or anything underscore, whatever you want, buffer of last name. Some meaningful, whatever first name and last name I would give, email ID as well. I'm just trying to create randomly based on that. If I would execute this one now, uh, it would give me those details. You would see the data, email ID. So first name was this, last name was this, and the email ID is also first name dot last name at the rate gmail.com. So now if you execute another time, it gives something else. So like that. And age, for now it is empty. So if you see age, we are not specifying anything. So age would be numbers, right? And now when you see numbers, uh, there is some function called R and D. So if you say R and D, if you see the syntax, it's what number of digits you just have to specify. So example, R and D of 7. If you specify R and D of 7, you would get 7-digit number. So R and D of I'll say 5. So it would give me 5-digit random number, right? So you can see here 5-digit with this. You don't even have to take regex, random regex and number 0 to 9 and then specify that time. Even without that, just for numbers, R&D of R&D is nothing but random of this numbers. So 5-digit, if we specify 5-digit is what it would be giving us. Now another thing for,
Pradeep, in
yes,
random regex also, can we give a number directly without giving the letters?
without giving the letter, just what you want to specify. Like,
Uh,
can you say the example? What you mean?
uh, just yeah, I want to give the age by using random regex. But in the
Oh
syntax
yes.
there, we are able to see only initiation is with the letters, right?
No, no, it's not like that. So here, yes, what you can do is random regex and then square bracket close and then double quotes. You don't even have to specify starting character. You can say 0 to 9 or number. Now here, if you are giving 0, so random number, if it starts with 0, 1 digit would be less. So this way, if you are saying, right, 0 to 9 without any this thing, and now if you generate, you say it just gives us only one character, which is age is 5. Next time it would say 2. But here if you say, sometimes we might get 0, and if we say 0, application might not take that value. So instead of that, what you have to do is change over there, say it 1 to 9, and then only one character is what we are giving it. Instead of one characters, since age can be of 2 characters or 3 as well, you can say 2 characters for now. So you can keep, and between 1 to 9, it just randomly generates. So age is 88, and then translate again, the age is 39, like this. Anything it gives. So you can use random regex in this way.
Yeah.
Uh, so R and D is what I was showing about, and then here as well, if you just say 2, R and D of 2. So instead of you doing random regex and doing this, you see R and D of 2. If you say, it would give 2 digit. For sure it would give every time only this 2 digits. So 17, 20, and then the next one 37, like this. So, and another thing, let's say I just want age between 20 to 30. if our requirement is that way, then how we can do? For that, what we have is, if you just open R&D, you have another syntax called lower limit, upper limit. So lower limit would be the 20, let's say 20, and then upper limit would be 30. So it generates random number between 20 to 30. Between 20 to 30 and includes boundary. Includes boundary in the sense even 20 and even 30 you would get. So if you don't want 20 and 30, then what you have to do is you need to specify 21,
21 and
29.
29.
Correct. Exactly. So that way. So generate random numbers. Upper limit is 20, and then lower limit I want 30. So age random numbers just between these two. So every time if you run 29. So another time if you run, you would get something 28. Another time if you run, you might get only 10 random things it can give us, right? So when you execute for 10 times, at least for the 11th time, yes, 29. You see, even for the fourth occurrence, you are got the first value. So every time, but if you want a different one, then you need to make sure you give better, don't give any specific lower or upper limit. And if your application is demanding, yes, then you can take it. And then every time in between that range, if your application is taking, you can specify this value like this. So this is about age. Now, say regarding the dates as well. So let's say if you have something, you want date. So depending on your application, you would want some uh, date, random date to be given. Random date in the sense current date, let's say. So current date, if you just want to specify. So current date today is it's 4th October, right? So 04/10/2023. Tomorrow when I execute, tomorrow if I would use that functionality, it should give me 05, 05 and then 10. The same way current date is our requirement. If we have, so we have something called date functionality. And then we have date, date time, day, all these things. You would have to explore it because everything, yes, we cannot do it. But these are the main, most of the basic things that I would be using in the projects and I have come across. That is where I'm just showing you those examples. So if you would see date, I would say date, date functionality, and then I need to use three brackets. Three brackets. One is for the, if you would see here again, uh, date, three brackets. One is base date. So what is the base date? Base date in Tosca date format. It's just what Tosca date format is or what format we want to give. And then the offset is nothing but deviation in the sense, okay, I just don't go too deep in this. I'll just give you one example. Uh, so date, I'll just leave this empty, the second bracket as empty, and then the third bracket as well empty. So leave just date. And if I just right click translate the value, you see we would get the current date, the system date, what it is, 04/10/2023, but it is in dot format. Why dot format? So if you would see, we also have something called settings. So you go to project, and then we have options and settings. This you can explore. So we have something called settings. If you would click on that settings, it's time. So we have different settings set to the commander, to all these things. And in here, we have what? Doku Snapper is used to capture the screenshot. That is okay. We also have another special dates, is fixed holidays, T-box, dynamic temporal. Yeah, in T-box, dynamic temporal expressions, if you would say target date format, it is set in dd dot mm.yy. Since we haven't specified anything in our here, so it is giving in date for dot format, that too in day, month, year format. So this is target and Tosca date format that has been set. That is where it is giving. So if you want date format by default to be in another one, just come here, change it. Change it to what? mm.dd.yy or yyy.dd.mm, whatever format you want. You just change it. And then when you execute this default thing, you would get the date format in that sort of format. So you can explore those things. And another thing, here itself, let's say again and again going there. So in one application, one place, one page, I would need date format in this dot. In another form, another page, I would need hyphen. Another page, I would need what, mmdd format. So all those different formats if we have, what we can do is in this date thing we can specify. I'll say I want dd hyphen capital mm. So the small dd represent days, capital mm represents month, and capital 3m represents actually Jan, MON, month basically. So FEB, Feb. So if you want that way, yes, it does that, but I'm fine with this too now. And then YYYY. So if you would see this thing now, it should give us format in this one. So current date in this hyphen DD, YY, whatever format we have specified. So this third bracket is nothing but what format do you want the output. So that is the format thing. So here you can change it to something else. I would say I want mm-dd. So you can just change it to this thing. You see, first is month and then day. So based on your requirement, you just have to this. And this is very important as from the interview point of view. They would ask this, what's the date format? Can you write it? What is this? I want the current date. So how you can get, or in this format, or even from current date, I want the date in DDMMYY format. The difference between small mm, capital mm. Small mm is minutes and capital mm is month. It specify month. So TD dot mm. I'm fine with this dot format. I'm habituated to that. So this one, and now current date is what it gives in date format, DDMM format, right? So they would ask what is the what would be the, like, from current date, if you just add 12 days, what would be the date? So 12 days if you add, I want that date, how would you get it? So in the second bracket you just have to specify plus 12 small d, which is 12 days. And now if you would translate this, so it would give from current date, it would add 12 days and it gives a date, so which is what, 12 days if we add, it is 16. So same way, 12 days is what we have added. It can also say any other date, or before current date, let's say I want prior date, which is what, 10 days. So minus 10d. So whatever current month is there, per current day minus 10 days it does, and it gives us that date. So it would add this way. And let's say this one, and this is in days, and then I want month wise as well, 2 months behind, so minus 2m, or plus 2m, 2 months ahead. And then year as well, year is plus 4 years, 4y. So after 4 years, so current date, and but like date format in this format to this. So in this bracket we are not specifying anything. First bracket is what, on what date do you want to change the dates. So first bracket, since we left it empty, the next ones, it is what, based on the current date, it adjust this offset. Offset is nothing but what, plus minus what you want to do. And then third is the format. So based on current date minus 10 days to 2 months behind, but 4 months ahead, what would be the date? So translate value, and then if you would see 2027, 4 years, and then 2 months behind, if you go, it is 07, and date is 24. So that way, or I would want this thing, but I just want only DD and MM, not or the year. It can be anything. I just want date and uh, month. I don't want year in my random thing. So I would remove that format and it would just give you this. So that way, yes, you can do it. And then here you can specify some other date. From that date to what date do you want? So so I would say like from 11/02/2022. From this date, I want minus 10 days, minus 2m, plus 4m, and that too in dot YYYY format. So now from that date, it gives 4 years, which is 25. So 22, so it gives this one, but 25, and then that too, this is December. So so 22/4, if you add, it would be 2026, but then 2 months behind of February, so it would be December, and then first date. So like that. So this is the date format thing. So if you want
Pradeep,
only
you did the first bracket thing. Yeah.
first bracket is from what date do you want to consider the date generation. So if it is from current date, you just leave it empty. So if it is just from current date, you just leave the first bracket as empty. Then based on today's current date is nothing but today. From today, you want 10 days behind, 2 months behind, 4 years ahead from current date. But let's say if your requirement is not from current date, I have one specific date from an application we get, and that specific application date, from that date, I want to generate some random dates. So in that case, what we can do, we need to give that application generated date in here. We can store that thing in a buffer, and that buffer we can pass here. So I would say buffer of stored date, anything that we stored, buffer of stored date from the application. From that date, I want this date to be generated. Yeah, there are n number of things based on what our requirement would be, is what we have to just manipulate this one.
Pradeep,
So just
accordingly, we can
understand.
also, for example, we can give any random date also, Pradeep, like future date. For example, if I have application, okay, it needs only
Right.
future date. We
Correct.
can do it using random regex also, or is there any way out?
Here in the date itself, you can give it, right. Leave this date, and then future date you want, future date which is 4 years ahead. Just say +4, and then when you translate the value, what it gives, future date 2027 is future, current, and the DDMM thing we have not specified, it would be taking the current date. So today it is giving 0410, tomorrow if we execute, it would give 0510, and then 2027, which is again future date. So what
My
type of
question is,
future date you want?
yeah,
Yeah.
instance like we can give any random date, right? Not exactly, we are giving specifically like from today plus 4 years. Without that, we
Right.
can give any sort of random dates, right? Like in the random rejects we have done some random things, you giving the strings and stuff. So same thing we can give in the date, Pradeep.
uh, you just have to build that thing. Then if you want that way, you can build that way. How you can build is, let's say I'll just keep this one that way, and here random date, so just say, and then here, so you want R&D, I want random of 2 digit, and then I want dot format, and then R&D, I would want again, this is DD, and the next one is month, again two format, two thing. and then dot format. And if we just say another for R&D of 4 characters, YYYY, right? And now this is random date. Now if you just translate this, so it would give 88.85 dot this thing. Now this numbers it is generating, but now this is not exactly the date way, right? But dates would be what? It would be in between 1 to 31.
30.
So
Yeah.
30 or
30.
31. So
Yeah.
here again, lower limit, upper limit, we have just seen it. So we would say randomly this thing 1 to 31, and month would be like from uh,
1 to 12.
1 1 to 12. So here we can say 1 to 12. And years would be what? From what starting year to what starting year you want. So I
Okay,
want from
23 to
1900,
20.
let's
Yeah.
say, to whatever year you want, 2050. Now if you would say, it would generate okay, I just didn't close this bracket. That's where it is showing this syntax error. There are translate. Now it would give you 11 6 6, and then uh, 06 or 6. Yeah, it is given 1934.
It's fine.
uh,
Yeah, yeah.
so like this it is giving you. So 10, like that. You just have to create it. So understand the concept, that's it. Which particular part would give you what, some random data if you want. And then other things you can just explore more. If you see here, a day is what? Wednesday. So it would give today is Wednesday, right? So if you select this a day, and then it would give you just 3 letter of this week or current one, that way. And then you just keep on exploring all these things. So you would see more things. A month is what? October, current month if you just want. And then another thing, if you see the syntaxes examples, you should be able to understand this way also you can do. And then uh, yeah, this is what about the random dates. So random dates is the most common thing that they would be asking. So CTM stamp, current time stamp, if you just want it, some random character string that consists of 16 random numbers and characters. So instead of we creating random 2 characters, 3 I want capital letters, all those things. If you just want 16 of random thing, you can use CTM, CTM, STMP, that thing. Like that, you just explore this thing. And from here, yeah, so date time, if you see date time, it would give you 2023 is year, YYYY, and then 10 is month, and then 04 is date, DD, and then 06 4 something like this might be time in hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds, kind of that way. So those things is what it generates. Day is which day? Current Wednesday is fourth day, so it is giving 4. So like that. There are many things. I just don't want to confuse you with all those things. Only thing is, yes, you just need to explore this random things, whatever you would have. So L date, it gives this last date or this date, and in some format. So this you can see it, explore it later. So now what your assignment would be. So on this, yes, okay. Another thing that I wanted to explain you is of the uh, conditions thing. But another one, yeah, here as I was saying, random create automate this page, give this registration, and don't execute too much of junk data on this server. If they do, again, for now, since we are using it for free, but if Tricentis says there are many junk users or this thing, only for your testing once or twice, you just do it and then leave it. uh, but yeah, don't create registered so many users on their page. So this is something going to be stored, right? Or pick some other application wherein you just have to give some random date, random data, and then every time you just check if it is registering or doing something random data, whatever you want, that condition is getting satisfied. Do it according to that way. So automate some kind of stuff, and then yes, you would come across this scenario only when you kind of keep practicing, or you come work in a project, and then what all things would be coming is what you would be seeing it. So any doubts in this?
No, brother.
Right. So other thing that I wanted to tell about is some conditions thing. So how we can apply some conditions to our test case. So conditions and loop. So there are two things. Let's say we have created one test case, and in that test case, just take conditions thing. So how to add conditions? So when you inside the test case, so as a test step is what you can add, and be it this one or any existing one. So anywhere if you just want to add, what you would do. So you have to, let's say in process somewhere you wanted to add, or after process. So right click on the test case, add after post condition. So right click, and then once you right click, you would get here something called create if statement. So one is if statement. Let's say we will create if one. So if, what is this if condition statement? So if you would say there would be a condition and there would be a then. So if, then, and else. So if we have what I would see the control flow, you would be able to, okay, I don't want to confuse for now. So when, so we, based on some condition, we want to traverse in two ways. One can be path one, another would be path two. So based on what condition we specify, I want to sometimes select path one, and based on another condition I want to go to path. So if we have two different ways, so we need to specify on what condition it should go to path one, on what condition it should go to path two. So that is where two different things if we have, we can use if condition, and in if we have, if the condition satisfies, go here, if the condition doesn't satisfies, go there. So two different paths, right? So in that way uh, we can specify. Now condition would be what it can be, or I'll take some so we have something called T-box evaluation tool, wherein this particular module allow us to perform a boolean evaluation of mathematical expression. Examples. So if you see 1 less than 2, what is 1 less than 2? Is it true or false? 1 is less than 2.
True.
True. So we get boolean, which is true or false, right? So we get true. So same way, true or false values we get, and then this way uh, uh, these are the examples that they have just specified it. So and the expression should be evaluated. So in here in the expression thing, we would be just so we would say here, now I'll say 2 is equals to true 2. So if I just say that one and action mode verify, now if I run this, oh, what would be the expected thing? 2 equal to 2. Is it true
True.
or false? True.
True.
So it should pass. And then so it's evaluated to true. So same way, 2 is equals to 3. Obviously it is not, and it gives false. So condition, if you have just have to make it false, then it goes this one. So first thing, evaluation thing, here we are giving some based on conditions, and same way, less than or equals all that mathematical operator, yes, you can add it here. So 2 is less than 3, it is true, and then it gives us the true this condition. So here, based on what we specify in our condition field, so if condition is true, then it goes to then statement. If the condition is false, then it should go to else. And here by default we don't have else. How we can get else is, once we get this if condition, how we got this, we just right click on this here, from this thing we will get create if condition, and in this if condition we are getting this one, right? So we got this condition, and then we want else as well. So click on this else, right click, and then here you would find create else statement. So when I've gone through this one earlier days when I was doing it, I was not sure how we can get else statement after so many days. After I've encountered this thing, when there was a requirement, I then came to know, okay, I can get this else statement in this way. So these few things, whatever I'm kind of sharing it, it is with completely what I had already faced in my experience. So that is what I'm just sharing it, even with the random dates or random things. Any tutorials, any other tutors also, if you would see, they might not go in this detail. I am just, yes, kind of wanted everything to be shared. That is where I'm just kind of, even if I'm extending or stretching too much on that topic, it is what I had already seen, and it might help you is what I'm just looking at. So if you have to say, okay, I will say we can use this part and then we can just go on to the next one. If you are fine in that way also, I'm fine, but I'm just sharing knowledge according to this. I hope this kind of teaching is okay for you guys, right?
Yeah, Pradeep.
So all these things are extra things. Whatever I'm just saying, these are extra things. Uh, uh, as part of this thing, based on the experience. So not all things is what you would just use it on the very first project on the very first day. That is right, right? So based on some requirements. So at that time, when you just work on something or the other, and then you might see it. Okay, this is how I might have explained you, and this is how yes we can do it. And yeah, this is for your knowledge purpose is what I'm sharing it. So yeah, else condition as well we get it. So now based on this condition, if it is true, it goes to then statement. If it is false, then it goes to the else statement. So this is what. So you can write anything what you want to do. If it is false, what you want to say? The condition given is true. So if you just want that way, or and then else, the condition given is false, and then I want to do something else. So your requirement would be in that way. This in our application, how it is going to use is, uh, so we won't like this, even if we want we can use it, or uh, one more thing is,
Can we see like this? If our logged in page is still login page, so we need to check whether that is in login state or not, then we can proceed.
right, correct, that's a real time scenarios what we call. So what your scenario is, after clicking on login, entering these details, clicking on login, there would be two things. One is, based on your correct credentials, it would give us a logged in screen, or based on incorrect thing, it would remain on this page. So if it is remaining on this page, what do you want to do?
Error should be displayed that your
uh, it,
credentials are wrong.
it checks, yeah, you can say that when verify that kind of message. But then other thing would be, what I should say is, if yes, was the
Yeah, we
project
already seen if we are successfully login, we are able to see the user credentials over there instead of register.
correct, uh, right. So in that way,
And
con-
login is turned to log out.
Yes, those observations are fine. But what we can say is in condition, we can just, I'll just leave this one. I'll use another if condition, and in this if condition, so our logout thing you were saying, right? So we have a module already scanned for our logout, right? Which is what in initial. So here, if you see, if we have not written proper names, we won't know where our logout would be. So logout, as from the page understanding, I might have written it in home page. So I'll go here, check home page, and then here, if you see, yes, I have that logout. So I will use this one, this module. So in condition, I'm just keeping this one, and in this module, now my condition is what? If this logout button appears, so verify this exists to true. So if logout appears, then I will say, then I will do what? I would capture the username, user account. Let's say I want to capture the user account. So I'll go here, and then in the then statement, I'll say buffer this user account, or verify. If it is logged in, then verify a user account is displaying with pradeepdawalji@gmail.com or whatever user we have given. So that sort of verification you can do. So if it is not logged in, if this condition fails, what you want to do? Basically, if you have not written any else statement, it doesn't do anything. It goes to the next step directly. If the condition gets passed, it goes to then. It does this. If the condition gets failed, it doesn't go to then. It would see if there is an else. If there is no else, even if it is failing, if this step is failing, Tosca doesn't stop here. It just ignores this one and goes to the next step. So next step, what you have written, based on that, it does that way. So this conditions thing, I would explain you again tomorrow. The other thing in here, where did we write? Where have we written about the buffered random functionality? Yeah, that's where if it does don't write these things clearly, it is very difficult to identify. I wanted to tell one more about. Yeah, here, right? So in the sixth test case, I have written. So we also have something called math here. So math is nothing but, so what it does is mathematical operations it can perform, wherein this math, because we does this, so operand 1, operand 2, so on, this operate. So example it is giving, so buffer of some this thing plus 1. So what it does is, the example illustrates how the value of a buffer a is increased by 1. So in buffer of a, let's say I have used math, and then what was the syntax, sorry, is math. So if you see math, and then in square brackets we need to have our buffer plus 1, or math of 1 plus 1. So 1 plus 1, what this should give, it would give us value 2. So if you want to just perform some addition or subtraction, so mathematical related operators, so that if you want, you can give it this way. And so any addition, subtraction, yes, you can do it here. Or other thing is, sometimes when we use this math is in the conditions we would be using it. So that again in tomorrow's session, when I'm explaining about conditions, I will explain more in detail about this math functionality. So for now, Yes, any doubts till now, whatever we have discussed?
Pradeep, basically this math functionality will depends on in banking sectors, right, Pradeep? Like for calculating the amounts and stuff, right?
Correct. In that way, as well as even in this, like your Amazon or Flipkart, when you do that, and there as well you would get some prices, and then you see the discounted price and the actual price. If you just subtract actual price minus the discounted price, it should give you the buying price. So if you have that kind of requirement, here as well you need to use math of the discounted price from the application at some application location. Yes, you would get it, buffer it, and then even the actual price, buffer it, then subtract those two things. In the next page it should show us the subtraction of this. That is another
Okay, it
requirement.
can change. It can give the value in other field also, Pradeep. For example, I was working in a banking sector, like in a banking domain. There, if you are taking a debt of $1,000, okay, and you have
Yeah,
repaid the bank of debt of $200, and the 800 should be displayed, okay. That
correct.
will be displayed in the other, field. This can be done through this, right, Pradeep? If I'm,
Yes,
yeah,
correct,
yes.
correct, that's correct.
Got it. Yeah, thanks, Pradeep.
So you just have to relate these things. First you should know how we can do these things. Once we know how to do, so where to use and all, based on your application, based on your requirement, you would be just knowing it. Any other doubts, team?
Okay, Pradeep.
Aruna, anything from your side?
No, brother.
Okay, then I guess in this case we are good to close our today's session. Thank you.